Busy, Bob?
I'm always busy.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you are. That's a silly question, isn't it?
I'm in my studio here. I built a studio. I love it.
I was there. I came there when I went.
Yeah, sure you did. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a picture of me sitting behind your desk.
You would love this place, Fletch.
I need to get up and see it. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we got cameras coming to the ceiling, and
yeah, I've still been able to manage with mostly my computers and some decent lights, but
yeah.
You know.
Anyway.
All right, get the show on the road, as they say.
What do you want to do?
Well, I wanted to also tell you the other thing, Bob, is as we are working towards pitching this and we're getting it in front of people, decision makers at networks, we're just pushing ahead and we're doing interviews, getting transcripts from the interviews, and we're starting to populate our website. And then eventually we'll be doing like selling programs, your programs on there, like affiliate links. Brian and we have talked about, how to get that all set up. So anyway, we have 10 masters that are involved. There will only probably be 3 that are going to be on television, but the others, they will be great on the website.
Who are they?
Resources. Okay, so we've got Michael Beckwith, you, Sandy, Peggy, Michael Beckwith, Les Brown, Lane Bartlett, JJ Virgin, Rhonda Britton. Let's see, who are the others?
Pull up
the list.
Doesn't matter. That's fine. I just have an idea.
Yeah. So it's they're all pretty good in their specialized areas, and I think it's gonna make for some very helpful information for people who've
the brand is definitely strengthening. We met with Michael Beckwith on Friday, I believe it was, and did the interview here at the office with him, and he's turned us on to Christina Applegate. I don't know if you know who she is, and Hillary Swank, and Hulk Hogan.
Yeah,
as other additional people that have followed him to interview as well. So the idea behind the interviews is, we're gonna try to release a book and give the book away, but the book's gonna follow that Anik Singh's formula where you give the book away, you charge a couple bucks for shipping, but you drive everybody to the website and sell everybody's programs. So
we got a couple of infomercials coming out this month where we're doing that. Yeah,
fantastic.
We're gonna spend a lot of money on them, I think.
Okay, shall we just get started? Do you want what we've done with the other people that we've interviewed is we've kind of had them introduce themselves. We just a little bit about Bob Proctor before we answer our questions or ask our questions. I'm sorry.
Okay, hello there and welcome. I'm Bob Proctor. I began to work in the personal development field in 1961. And I started to work in this more for my own benefit. I was losing. I didn't have any direction in life. And I met someone that introduced me to this book. And I still have the book with me. I still read it every day. The book is falling apart. It's Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. And my whole life began to change. The man that I met, he said, if you'll do exactly what I tell you, you can have anything you want. Now, I really didn't believe that. But fortunately, I believed he believed it. And he did. And he began to teach me things and tell me things about myself that I had never heard before. I never learned in school. I never learned at home. In fact, I couldn't even believe what he was telling me. I was in debt and I was unhappy. He said, listen, I'm happy, healthy, wealthy. You're unhappy, sick, and broke. He said, why don't you do exactly what I tell you? My way's working, yours is not. Well, I think that sort of sunk in. And so I decided that I would do that. And I was looking for something to do, to earn a little extra money on this side. Somebody said there's good money cleaning floors. So I thought, I'm not proud, I'll clean floors. But he also said you should be cleaning them for yourself. Don't work for somebody else. So I borrowed enough money to buy an old floor machine, some buckets and mops, and I got a couple of contracts, and away I went. Do you know, a year later, I was earning $175,000 a year, and then within 5 years, I was earning over $1 million. And I had an office cleaning company that operated in Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Cleveland, Atlanta, London, England. Needless to say, my life had changed. I didn't really understand what happened, but I was enjoying it. And if you had asked me, I couldn't tell you. I would tell you, well, I'm reading this book. And then I was listening to Earl Nightingale's condensed narration of this book. But I'd been raised to believe if you're going to earn a lot of money, you've got to be really smart. Well, I knew I wasn't very smart, but I was earning a fair amount of money. I was raised to believe if you don't go to school and get a good education, you're never going to get a good job. Well, I didn't go to school. I went to high school for 2 months, and I didn't have a good job. I owned the whole company. So I started to realize that a lot of what I was told was not true. And I made up my mind I was going to find out what happened. It took me 9.5 years, but I found out why I changed. And when I found out, all I wanted to do was teach it to people. And that's all I've been doing. I started around 1968 working in this business. I went to work with the Nightingale Conant Corporation out of Chicago. And I have never stopped. I have had one of the most interesting trips anybody's ever been on, just helping other people figure out what they want and then get it. I have found that most people that are very successful are at a loss to explain why they're so successful. They cannot articulate on why they're doing what they're doing. And so they put it down to the fact, well, they're smart or they're lucky. Well, some of them aren't very smart, and luck has got nothing to do with it. I did find out, and that's what I've been teaching. Our company, the Proctor Gallagher Institute, helps people now. We operate all over the world in a number of different countries, and we're teaching people to do what we're doing and what we've done. There's the Reader's Digest version for you.
That's fantastic. I think, but I'm going to ask it anyway. You already answered this, but how would you define your mission in life?
Well, I sat down and I figured that out. It's like a purpose. My purpose is to live and work in a prosperous environment that encourages productivity and pleasure, so that we can improve the service we render to, first of all, to our family, our company, our community, our nation, and ultimately the world. And in putting that together, I put a lot of time into thinking of that. In fact, I spent a whole weekend with a couple of pretty tuned in people to formulate that. And that is my mission. That's my purpose in life. It's why I get out of bed in the morning. And I figured if I haven't got me right, my life right, I can't help anybody else. And so the whole trick of life is to live a very fulfilled life and then share as much as you can with as many as you can.
How long ago did you actually sit down and define that mission?
20 years ago, maybe 25.
So you were still well into...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see, I don't think most people have a purpose. I think Les Brown said it, but then I read where Mark Twain said it, so he probably got it from Mark Twain. He said, there's two important days in your life, the day you're born and the day you discover why you were born. And it is a discovery. I don't think you decide on a purpose. I think you discover it. I honestly believe that every one of us are hardwired to do something very well. And the trick is to discover what that is. And most people never do, because most people are after the money. And they're after the money because they need it. And you don't get along without it. And that's true. But you'll never earn as much as you can earn if you're doing what you love. You'll always earn more.
How do you recommend people would come across or be exposed to what their mission is? Just read a lot of books, go to different places, find new jobs?
I think you have to study. Solomon said, in all you're getting, get understanding. I think we have to gain an understanding of ourselves, what makes us tick, who we are. We're God's highest form of creation. There's something phenomenal about every one of us. We're the only creature on the planet that's totally disoriented in our environment. All the other little creatures are completely at home in their environment. They blend in. But we're totally disoriented in our environment because we've been given the tools to create our own environment. Now, most people living in ignorance don't understand that, and so their environment isn't very friendly most of the time. I believe if a person will take the time, they must study. I study for at least an hour every day and many times more. But I think if we begin to study, learning about ourselves, and then we take time to be quiet for the sole purpose of discovering what our purpose, what our mission is in life. And I think that there's a guide that we can follow if we ask ourselves, what do I really love doing? And if you really love doing something, it's probably because you're good at it. And you're good at it because you really love it. It's like a chicken and egg thing. And the problem with most people, they figure out what they love to do. They think they can't earn any money at it. And so they don't do it. You know, earning money is a game, and we believe you're supposed to go to work to earn money, and working happens to be the very worst way to earn money. A person can learn how to earn money, and they can spend their days doing what they love at the same time. We're not taught how to earn money. You can go all the way through school, and for good reason. They can't teach you how to earn money. They don't know how to earn it. Schools don't teach people how to earn money. The teachers don't know how to earn it.
It's fascinating.
Well, it's fascinating. It's fascinating because most people don't understand it. Earning money is a simple thing to do when you learn how. Earning money is a reward received. Money is a reward received for service rendered. So it stands to reason if you can provide a lot of service, you're going to earn a lot of money. And there's a law of compensation governing that. The law of compensation clearly states the amount of money we earn is always going to be in direct ratio to the need for what we do, our ability to do it, and the difficulty there is in replacing us. If you take the great actors, acting is the highest and lowest paid profession in the world. So is selling. Why is it such a highly paid profession? There's so many people who want to be entertained. They don't want to entertain themselves. They don't want to really live out their dreams, so they go and watch somebody else's. They're extras in their own movies. Well, there's a lot of people that don't understand who they are or how to find a purpose. And that's where we come in. That's our job. We help them find it. And I've worked all over the world. I've worked in China and South America and North America, all over Asia. And I've never gone anywhere where the people are not interested in what I teach. People want to gain an understanding of who they are. And there's such a screaming need for it that we're very highly paid for it. And then the trick is set up multiple sources of income. That doesn't mean you have to do anything. You can set up sources of income without ever being there.
Yes, that is true. And Fletch knows all about that, don't you, Fletch?
I thankfully found somebody to help me understand that recently. Yeah, I went through a lot of schooling myself, advanced degrees at college, and found myself broke and still not fully comprehending what Bob just talked about, which is, you know, getting compensation for a service that you render or a product that you can sell. So yeah, the internet has definitely changed the ability to do that at scale and set up those kind of passive streams of income to a much greater degree than I think was ever possible previous to this.
Oh, there's no question about that. It's always been possible, though. You can go back, way back to the ancient Babylonians. They were doing it. The internet, as you say, it makes it possible to do it on a much greater scale. Yeah. And it has nothing to do with being the smartest guy in town.
No.
It because I know some people that aren't very bright at all. They're earning millions of dollars a year, sometimes a month.
Sometimes a month, I was going to say. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's true. You know.
Okay, moving to the next question. Who has been the most influential person, mentor, teacher in your life?
Well, you know, that's a very difficult question for me to answer. I would probably say that a man by the name of Ray Stanford, who's been long gone, because he's the one that introduced me to this book. And he's the guy that said, if you'll do exactly what I tell you, you can have anything you want. Now, I think I went past him, but he was the one that woke me up. I could then, there's been about 6 or 7. Then it was Earl Nightingale and Lloyd Conant, the Nightingale Conant Corporation. They just stretched my mind to a tremendous degree. A man named Bell Van de Waal, he and I did a lot of work together. He knew more about the mind than anybody I knew. And then another man, Bill Gove. Now, those people, they at various stages helped me expand my level of understanding. And then I partnered with Sandy Gallagher. And Sandy has done as much for me as probably any of the others from a business perspective. She taught me and is teaching me and is helping me really compound what we're doing from a business perspective. She's a business genius. She really is. She was a securities attorney and very, very bright. So we brainstorm. We're full partners and we brainstorm a lot. And she would tell you that probably I've helped her more than anybody. But the truth is, it goes both ways. You know. So there's been a few people. I believe if we will look for someone that is already successfully doing what we want to do, and then do exactly what they tell us, we're on the right track. And that's what I have learned to do. I've learned to go to someone who knows more than me in an area that I want to improve in, and then I do exactly what they tell me.
I like that advice.
Yes. Well, the next question, you sort of talked about this in your opening statement. Reading the book Think and Grow Rich was an important turning point in your life. Well, can you tell us a little bit more in depth what you discovered impacted and changed your life and how your life was impacted?
Well, the book itself, I don't think there's any one part of it. I think it's the composite of all the information. You see, Napoleon Hill spent his whole life studying 500 of the world's most successful people, and he was mentored by the world's wealthiest man at the time, Andrew Carnegie. Carnegie introduced him to people like Edison, Ford, Wanamaker, you know, all the top business people in the world. And he became intimate friends with them. And his sole purpose was find out how they did what they did. Because nobody had ever written the laws of achievement. And Carnegie said it's a shame that people like themselves were going to the grave with all the knowledge locked up in their bones. And he was looking for someone that would write the laws of achievement. And he chose Hill, and Hill accepted the challenge. So Hill spent his whole life, Napoleon Hill did, writing the laws of achievement. Think and Grow Rich came out of the laws of achievement. Laws of Achievement are a series of books. I have the whole series. But the Think and Grow Rich is the composite of it all. So as I study the book, what I'm getting is the composite or the best thinking of 500 of the world's most successful people between 1900 and let's say 1940. Well, I've just ingrained that into my subjective mind. Their thinking has become my paradigm. I automatically do things now that are brilliant, not because I thought of them, but because of the repetition of programming that information into my mind.
Well, it's apparent from your teachings that you've learned to be your own master. Why do you think most people never learn to master themselves?
Well, the very simple reason they never even understand who they are. I don't think they study themselves. I think they're studying something or how to do something, but they don't really study themselves. You see, all religion teach us that we're God's highest form of creation. All science has proved that. You know, science being a newer form of study, I see it as studying the cause and the effect. There's the only two sources of reference we got to go to is science and religion. And I believe that there's a spark of perfection within us. I think our spiritual DNA is perfect. It's just that it's covered over with so much virus code, so much bad stuff. Through genetic and environmental conditioning, the average person never lets any of it out. And it's not even a matter of getting it, it's a matter of becoming aware of what you've got. Because all knowledge, all power is omnipresent. That means within us. And so spirits, we're spiritual beings. Spirits always for expansion and fuller expression. Well, spirit's forever trying to express itself through us. So it jabs us in the consciousness, want this. Well, we got ourselves tricked into thinking if I want this, it's to get it. It's not to get it. It's to grow. If I keep going after something that's out of the box, that's way beyond where I'm at, for me to get there, I got to grow as a person. I have to raise my level of conscious awareness. That's why Solomon said, in all you're getting, get understanding. Let's understand who we are. Let's understand what makes us tick. I mean, this mouse sitting here on my desk is made from the same stuff this body's made from. This bottle of water is made from the same stuff my head's made from. If you measure us physically, we're not worth much more than the bottle of water. But you get in and measure us mentally, spiritually, and there's nothing that will even come close. We talk about all this new form of intelligence, this artificial intelligence. It's never going to match what's within. We are a soul. We don't have a soul. We are one. And we have all the knowledge, all the power locked up within us. That's why if we gain an understanding, when a question comes to our mind, if we're quiet, the answer comes with it. It's like there's an inside to this bottle, there's an outside to it. There's an up, there's a down. It's the opposite side of the same thing. It's a law of polarity. Well, you couldn't have a question without having an answer. Webster says a rhetorical question is a question without an answer. He didn't know what the hell he was talking about. There isn't any such thing. You know, it's a statement.
With all your coaching experience, what would you say is the biggest block people have to living out their dreams?
Belief. They don't believe they can. That's why they don't even set their dreams as a goal. They don't believe they can do it.
Wow, that's so true, and it's so sad in one way. As you've taught me, people don't know what they don't know.
No, the dream or the want comes to their consciousness, but they don't believe they can do it. So they settle for something they think they can do. If their intellect takes over.
As one of the thought leaders featured in the movie The Secret, can you explain your experience and what you learned from it?
Oh, I learned a lot of things from The Secret. Some of them I wouldn't record. I learned if you really follow your dream. Rhonda Byrne followed her dream. And I've heard it reached upwards of 500 million people.
Wow.
I think The Secret took people down the wrong path for a degree, to a degree. They left them with the idea they could have what they want, and that's not true. You can't have whatever you want. You can have whatever you desire. See, wants are of a conscious nature. The conscious mind by itself does very little, thinks. builds ideas, but that's all. The want has to be turned into a desire. It has to be properly planted in the universal subconscious mind. Then, when it's properly planted, it begins to move into form. You can get anything you desire if you feed the desire. But there's all kinds of people who want things they're never going to get. And I think it left them with the idea they could get what they want. Now, I don't think that Rhonda Byrne did people a disservice with that. I think she did a great service because it caused people to think. And I think probably that's what she was attempting to do. But you do not get what you want. And so there's people say, I want this, and they don't get it. They say, well, the secret's not right. The secret is right if you really study what's being said. But you've got to dig deep inside.
All right, Mick, you want to pick up the next one?
Sure. So you've been coaching people in personal development for more than 50 years.
Yeah.
Have you seen a trend in people's interest in self-improvement in that time?
Oh, no question about it. Absolutely. There is such a great awareness today that we can do better, that there are answers, that unfortunately people are turning off school because they realize school isn't doing it. School is meant to teach you how to get information. In my mind, that's what it's for. I didn't go to school, and I had a terrible time when I first started to study. I didn't know where to look for the information. I didn't know how to get it. I didn't even know how to use an encyclopedia. This is back in the 60s. But people are much more aware today. Everywhere we go, I've been to Shanghai, Kosovo, Buenos Aires, Rio, Kuala Lumpur, Singapore, all over the world. Everywhere I've gone, we've had big audiences wanting more of this information. The desire to learn more about ourselves has expanded enormously. And I think that's a good sign. That's a sign people are waking up, that are starting to realize there's more to them than what's reflecting back from a mirror.
Okay, something a little more simple. What is your favorite quote?
It's one by Earl Nightingale. He said, this great dream, this surging, dynamic thing, invisible to all the world, is responsible for every great advance of humankind. It's the dream that you hold in your mind. This great dream, this surging, dynamic thing, invisible to all the world except to the person who holds it, is responsible for every great advance of humankind.
That's great.
I love it.
Yeah, it is. It's great. What is your dream of the future?
Well, my dream of the future is for our company to do $100 million in volume in a year. And that's what we're working towards, and we will do that. I see that as a symbol that we are expanding the way we want to expand, and we're reaching the people we want to reach. It's not just for the money, because I live a reasonably simple life. I mean, I've lived in the same house for 30 some years. I just work. I very rarely go on a vacation. I love what I do. And so I do it most of the time. But that would be an indication that we are reaching a lot of people. And that's what we want to do. That's our purpose, to wake people up in great numbers.
We share that vision with you with this Masters of Possibility program. I mean, that's exactly what we're trying to do is get it. If we can get it in front of the right audience, which we will do, we'll reach millions of people, and drive them to all your books and all your teachings. So we love it because it's a full circle of a win.
Well, you know, we're reaching millions of people now, and it's because of people like you and various affiliates that we work with. We work with different companies, with different individuals on an affiliate basis, and it's enabling us to reach more people. Helps them reach more, we reach more. So, you know, it's as Fletcher said, this is scalable now. You can, you know, it's the beautiful truth. It's the internet has just changed. I mean, you deal with a global market. You're not dealing with a region or a national or international. It's global and it's everywhere. And that's beautiful. Like I can broadcast, I can stream right here from the studio professionally, professional cameras and everything all over the world. And it's in my own backyard.
That's great.
It's great.
You could do it on your cell phone now too. I mean, we could be doing this.
That's true. That's
Crazy.
true. Yeah.
It's crazy. What is your favorite product or program or book that you've created? And I know it's a tough question, and why? Because they're all great.
Well, I think my favorite is one I created. It's one Sandy Gallagher created, really. She studied everything that we do. She became first a customer, and then she became a student, then she became a consultant, then she became my partner. And she put together a series of lessons, and we turned it into Thinking into Results. It's a program. And it was done because she was working in boardrooms and working with executives. And she was frustrated that she was having difficulty reaching them. And she thought if they had this information, everything would be so different. And so she said, she wanted me to get in front of a camera. I would like you to teach this. Now teach this. Now teach this. So she actually put the program together, and that's what's done it.
Great.
So from all the people whom you've helped, whose story has been the most impressive, or which one has touched you the most, and why?
Oh, Phil Goldfine, without question. Movie producer, probably one of the busiest in LA. I met Phil years ago. He had been reading the book, You Were Born Rich, that I wrote. And this is 20 years, 18, 20 years ago. And he was talking to someone, and he mentioned the book. And the person knew me. And he said, well, I know Bob. Phil said, oh, you're kidding. You don't know him. He said, no, I know him. So he got Phil on the phone with me. And Phil phoned me and he said, could I come and see you? And I said, sure, if you want. I was in Las Vegas. He said, well, I'm in LA. He said, I'll come right over now. I said, okay. So the two of us met and I said, what do you want? He said, I want to earn more money. I said, I can show you how to do that. He said, I want to win an Oscar. I said, I can show you how to do that. And he looked at me kind of strange. I said, listen, it wouldn't matter what you tell me. I can help you get it. Because everything we do is by law. The whole universe operates in an orderly way. You follow the laws and you'll get whatever you want. But I said, you've got to do what I say. He's okay. I said, how much are you earning now? He's about 250. He later told me he lied. It was about 200. And Phil earns millions of dollars. He's won an Oscar. He's won an Emmy. He's won a gold medal. I mean, he's probably the best example. Now, I've got a lot of good examples. But Phil will do exactly what I tell him. Now, I don't tell him what time to go to bed and what get up and all that. But there's certain things you have to do if you want to reach particular goals. I've seen him where he wanted to do a movie, and the person that was shooting it, he said, they won't go there. And I said, no, they will. I said, you'd see them there, visualize them there. Well, the person not only went there, then he wanted to move there, you know? Phil follows direction probably better than anybody, which is why he's probably so successful. Because I've given the same information to various people, but they haven't had the success he's had. Without question, you know. If I say do this, he'll do it. He'll do it right to the letter. And you see, it's the repetition that's necessary, and repetition defies logic. It doesn't make sense. Why would I read the same book over and over and over again? It's repetition that changes paradigms. And it's the paradigms that control our life. Bill Goldfein will never lose. He will just keep becoming more successful because that's his new paradigm. That's what he's built.
Is the information that you gave Phil in your meeting when he came out to see you, is it the same information that we can all find in your books?
Same information, exactly the same thing. Now, where it would be like, I may take something specific. I say, this is what you want. I would give that in seminars, but it would be mixed in with everything else. Where he was telling me, this is what I want to do. I said, here, okay, do this, do this, do this. He follows direction. And anybody that's disciplined that will do that is going to win. Doesn't matter who they are. Doesn't matter where they are, what they're doing. If they'll follow direction, they'll win.
That's very encouraging. We've gone through all the questions that we have. Fletch, you always seem to have a gem out there of a question. Do you have any questions before we let?
Yeah, I kind of go off the hip, but based on some of the things you said earlier, Bob, like something you mentioned, not exact quote, was that a lot of what you'd been taught was untrue, and that was one of the things that really limited you and created a paradigm that was just false. What could you speak on about understanding what is true and the nature of what to believe and who to follow? How can we discern that if we don't yet have a model or a method for determining what's real and what's true?
You know, that's a heck of a good question. I think anything you believe is true is true. I believe our problem is, Fletch, is that we have been told things that are extremely limiting. And we believe it, and we believe it's true, so it's true. If you can believe that you have infinite potential and that every question you ask yourself, the answer is there at the same time. If you can believe that, if you will program yourself to believe that, pretty soon you'll be demonstrating it. Whatever you believe to be true is true for you. Our problem is that we were taught stuff that was so absurd and so ridiculous, and we believed it. Like, I believed that if you're going to earn a lot of money, you got to be really smart. I was always struggling just to earn enough to pay whatever I was paying, and I was always behind the 8 ball. And so I thought, well, it's because I'm not very smart. I never had a half-decent job. I got dumb jobs. I wouldn't even apply for a good job because I hadn't gone to school. They wouldn't hire me. Now, do you know, years later, I had a brother-in-law that worked at IBM. And of course, in the 60s, if you had a job in IBM, you had arrived, you know, country club and all this jazz. They wouldn't give me a job sweeping floors because I didn't have a high school education. But they paid me more for 1 hour than they pay their managers or engineers for a month. I just had to go in by the back door.
You know, one of my favorite examples that really got me hooked to your teachings was the oak tree. Like,
oh yeah,
having that acorn, and there's no oak tree in there, and it's so true. And how the universe knows how to build that is mind-blowing.
Yeah,
it's mind-blowing.
Pretty interesting, isn't it?
It is. I think about that frequently. Like, how does it?
You know, you can sit and hold a rosebud in your hand, and it will completely unfold before your eyes, and you'll never see a petal move. Nature is phenomenal. By our back door, there's a light. And a robin has built a nest. In fact, is the second robin, is the second go around on top of the light. And the little birds are just about ready to leave. This morning, I saw their heads sticking up and the robin coming over and putting something in their mouth. Watching this all unfold is fascinating. Nature is incredible. The oak tree is in the universe. The acorn has a pattern plan. And when it's in the proper environment, it will attract the energy to it that's required for it to expand. When the energy that's in harmony with it touches it, it becomes one with it, like 2 drops of water. And the acorn must expand. We operate exactly the same way. The difference between you and me and the acorn is we create the image. We create the pattern plan. And that dictates what we attract. Because the pattern plan, the goal, controls our vibration. The vibration controls the action. It also controls the attraction. We are walking, living, creative beings. And most people are creating what they don't want because that's what they're thinking about and that's what they're in harmony with.
Great.
Such good information.
I know. We love talking to you, Bob. More importantly, we love listening to you, I should say. I think that about does it. I know Phil wanted to come in and say hi, but he's still 10 minutes away. So on that, and if you guys don't have any more questions, we thank you very much, Bob.
Listen, I've enjoyed it. It's good seeing you, Fletch. I didn't expect to see you here.
I pop in every once in a while to different places.
You're out of place here, you see. When he said Fletch, I thought, well, it wouldn't be the same one. And then I take a look at you. I thought, no, it's not the same one. And I thought, God, he cleans up pretty good.
I do. My wife married me for a couple reasons, I suppose.
Yeah, hey, listen, it's been a profit and a pleasure. Anyway, I can help. Let me know.
We will.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bob. This has been great.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Bob. Always good to see you.
Bye.
See you, Fletch. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.